Welcome back everyone to Reading Tumblr because I want to. Shout out to anthropomorphic snakes in anime movies doing poses that would normally require arms but creatively using their coils as arms instead. This is what it's all about. I really like anthropomorphic snakes that aren't drawn to basically be turned into lizards but are full on just snakes. Like, it's really interesting what you can do with what's basically just a long cylinder of an animal. People get really creative with it. Our Japanese class found it funny that in common terminology, food isn't very distinguished from specifically rice, until it was pointed out to us that in English, meal is loose, roughly ground grain. Humans be like, staple crop. Staple crop to what? Directly to forehead. If memory serves, the main reason for this is that grain is the thing that most people had to live off of more than anything else. Which is kind of still true to this day with stuff like bread and rice, where that is the cheap stuff. Instant noodles also counts as this, by the way. Like, we kind of have to live this way because it's just the easiest thing to produce. This portrayal of a marginalized group was wrong then and is wrong now. And this portrayal of a marginalized group is very progressive for the time period and paved the way to more representation, while likely limited by factors outside the creator's control, are two statements that can and should absolutely coexist and be kept in mind when interacting with old media. There's something called the Overton window, which is usually used in politics, but can refer to basically anything, where this is the stuff that we find acceptable to talk about. And also, this is the stuff that people recognize. And depending on where you are, the Overton window is different. That's why it is so concerning when politicians, for example, are saying things that sound absolutely bum-frickin' because now it's in the Overton window of something we can actually say. Which is really bad because that leads to being able to actually do. But it's also really good in examples where a marginalized group is being talked about. Even if they're being a bit stereotyped and a bit limited, they are able to be talked about. And yeah, when you look at old media, sometimes it's just a terrible depiction and at the time they knew better. Other times, it isn't. And one day, in the far future, well, far in quotes, people are going to look back at the stuff we've been making nowadays and say this exact same thing. That some of it was actually very progressive for our time, but wrong, and some of it was wrong now. And some of it was actually just good and holds up just fine. This is your machine learning system. Yep, you pour the data into this big pile of linear algebra, then collect the answers on the other side. What if the answers are wrong? Just stir the pile until they start looking right. This comic is from 2017 and it remains as relevant as ever. Something I think a lot of people haven't picked up on, especially with generative AI, is almost everything with AI tools isn't new. It's just that the data sets got significantly larger and people started pushing it a lot more. So it looks kind of more oppressive, kind of more sloppy, kind of more everywhere. But next to nothing that AI does is actually new. Which means you can look back at the past way further back than 2017 and find most of the tech is already in use, just with significantly smaller data sets. Which I find really interesting. God gives his hardest battles to his strongest soldiers, and I'm dodging the draft. Okay, Jonah. Hang on, I gotta look something up. Don't worry, I know that one from Heart of getting an explanation. Thanks, Tumblr user I suggest Vor. I can always count on you for theological literacy. Wait, is there a different reason why you like this story? 5 stars, but it's only 19 reviews. 4.6 stars with 2,280 reviews. Okay, that's a good product. I think this may demonstrate the importance of sample size better and more efficiently than any science class I've ever taken. And the #1 Halloween costume amongst the youth of today is a record-breaking 63 years in a row Scout's ham costume from To Kill a Mockingbird. Honestly based. Good costume. Volunteering to be the village sacrifice. We all know you're not a virgin. The dragon probably won't even be into you. Untie yourself from the altar right now. Look, I didn't want to say anything because it's kind of a touchy subject, but the dragon doesn't actually take these brides back to its lair full of riches and add them to a harem, okay? The big frickin' lizard with a brain the size of an orange, it just roasts and eats them. That's why we always pick the most useless airhead to sacrifice come harvest season. Now come on, get those chains off. Where did you even get these? Oh, you made them. See, that's the kind of craftsmanship the village needs you for. We'll have a big old party after the ritual, and if you want, a bunch of us can dress up as dragons and take turns having to go at you. It'll be nice, you'll see. Yes, I know, not the same. Well, not all dreams are attainable in the end. Truly, I hate to do this to you all, but you can watch all the videos and read all the blogs in the world, but you cannot learn to sew without at some point picking up a piece of fabric and screwing it up. No tutorial exists that will stop you at some point ruining this poor piece of cloth. The visceral act of holding a project and wondering where you went wrong is the only way to learn sewing. You cannot escape it. I'm sorry. Same for writing, drawing, sculpting, and to a lesser extent knitting, because you can always rip out and start again. You have to be prepared to make a mess, and a lot of it, to eventually make something beautiful. True learning begins when you try. I think my favorite quote for this is, sucking at something is the first step to being kinda good at something. Because it doesn't pretend that you will be good at it. It's just, you want to start being decent, you gotta screw up first. The only bad part of going to the zoo is hearing adult men confidently tell their kids or girlfriends objectively incorrect information about the animals you're looking at and having to remain silent. Do you know the restraint it takes to say nothing when a grown adult man tells someone falcons are in the same family as eagles? Next to me, no, baby girl, no! For your information, falcons are not closely related to other birds of prey. Hawks, eagles, buzzards. Falcons are actually parrots that min-max for a glass can DPS build. Assault parrots, if you will. Time to Google something. Google every time. Can I please have your location? I need to know where you live so bad. Where are you freaking from? Why isn't too scary a good enough reason to never drive a car? Girl, you do not want my scared butt behind the wheel. I'll take you all with me, whether I'm trying to or not. So personally, I experience really strong anxiety whenever I'm in a car. Because even if I trust whoever's driving, I know it only takes one idiot on the road and I could be dead. The thing that scares me more than that is if I'm the one driving, I could be the reason why a family gets destroyed that easily. And that's a risk everyone takes when getting in a car. I'm not special for that. But I do not make good decisions when I'm thinking about that, and my brain has yet to figure out a way to not think about that. Depending on where you live, though, you kinda might need a car, because where I live at least, I need a vehicle to get anywhere, and public transport is just not an option where I am. Like, it does not exist. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. I can't even hire a taxi or Uber out here because they also do not exist. There's one shuttle that will take me to one very specific town. I don't know why they only take you to the one specific town, but that's how it is. Like, you're very limited depending on where you live. So, you know, whether too scary is a good enough reason really depends on whether or not you live in an area where that is an option. Trans girls be like, Yeah, my voice isn't that good. And then make noises that activate the prey drive humans haven't had for thousands of years. See also trans girls be like, oh, I don't really like my face, but it's okay, it's whatever. And then hop on a video call and you're staring at Aphrodite. Hey, how do I reblog this so my trans girlfriends can feel validated and see what I think of them while also being the exception? Simple. Acknowledge that you aren't actually the exception. And the fact that your body and face and voice might not look exactly how you want right now doesn't mean they're not beautiful, and they'll only get better from here. I have an awful lot of people in my trans meme comments section that need to be told this. So, there's that. Also, look at the trans froggy. So cute. Little baby. I've never had a Scotch egg, but they seem easy as brick to simulate mentally. I can imagine with perfect clarity what it would be like to bite into a Scotch egg. Here's a Scotch egg CT scan to help calibrate your mental Scotch egg simulation. Oh, it's working. Another reminder that one time I was watching one of my friends play Amnesia: The Dark Descent and I got too scared, so I turned off the music and started playing Backstreet Boys instead. And the song Everybody came on, and at the line, "Backstreet's back, alright," the monster burst through the door and I screamed like a 2-year-old. The monster likes Backstreet Boys apparently. The idea that your friends won't like you if you're too weird is wrong. For example, one time I told a friend whenever I was losing my mind, I laid down on the floor under my desk and stared at it until I was better. And next time she visited me, she taped a bag of salami snacks to the underside of my desk with the message saying, "Going insane all by yourself, handsome?" Which I only saw months later when I had a breakdown. That's friendship. Snack was delicious. Also, Maddie barks. In my experience, a true and real friendship won't hate you for being weird. They may joke about it, but they will stick with you for it. And if they don't, chances are they aren't really your friend. There might be stuff like your work friend or your friend in this specific situation, but a real friend will stick with you regardless. This unused memory pick in Breath of the Wild is killing me. I have so many questions. Who took this pick? Why is Link doing a jujutsu pose? Why is Zelda like, oh shoot, what you gonna do? Link is gonna jujutsu you, haha, look out. Where would you even find this memory? It's been used because Link is repressing this memory. Well, that raises even more questions. The water fountain at my 24-hour gym displays light-hearted little messages when you use it. Use me to stay refreshed, impress yourself, that kind of thing. Tonight at 3 a.m. while I was completely alone in the gym, it gave me a message I hadn't seen before. Dare you to turn around and smile at the person behind you. Enjoy. I dare you to smile at the person behind you. Ominous signs. Official ominous sign at that. That does sound freaking terrifying, though. Like, that is a scene fresh out of a horror movie. Panic really does turn you into a complete freaking moron, huh? To be clear, this is about time missions in video games? Me knows full well where each button on the controller is. Can press X without even looking for which one it is. Quick time event. Press the X button. Oh god, oh frick, the what? Alright, real quick, I'm actually going to read a comic based off this, but Orcboxer's the one who originally made the post that inspired the comic, so here's me giving credit to them. It's me, your guardian angel. Hi! Okay, so in 6 months, you're going to die of starvation. And if I don't protect you, I will get hashtag fired. And that's no good! So, Alex indicates some starvation, and it turns out your death is totally preventable! Uh-oh! There's more than enough food to sustain you without interfering with anyone else's survival, but you're not allowed to have it. What? Apparently, your death is permitted by thousands of things called shareholders. So, I've been killing people. I love how the guy's just there watching all this. Like, oh, okay, an angel showed up and is now talking to me in text lingo. All right, I'm down. The more empathic and kind men I meet, actually, the more I hate bad men. It's like I've seen it proven you don't have to act this way. I know for a fact that it's not coded in your biology to disrespect women or be aggressive or be emotionally stunted. You're literally just a poo head. Every good dad I meet is just an enormous frick you to bad, absent, and empathic dads. Yes, this is a great way to reframe part of the harm done by all men are trash, rad femme ideology. Low standards just excuse cruddy behavior. You can set high standards and have those standards met, and hold to account the men who don't meet those standards. So, I was assigned male at birth, to be clear. There are a lot of times in my life where I've met people who are firm believers of all men are trash, and I've realized that no matter what I try, they're going to hate me. So I stopped trying to be nice to them. I don't try to be a jerk, but at the same time, I don't really go out of my way to work with them because they clearly would rather I be a jerk at a certain point. Not in the whole, oh yeah, all girls like bad boys type thing, but there are certain people that have gotten mad at me for things like holding open doors, which I do not do based off someone's gender. I do based off the fact that someone is behind me and wants to go through the door. Special thanks to Willow, our glass sailor,